applications. Do I have a motion? Motion,
Second.
discussion?
Will we have a presentation?
Okay.
Right, so motion by Brady, next by Hartley, thank you. We're done, we've already adjourned.
Yeah, we're done. I'm ready. Public comments, approval of the affordable student housing. We got a motion in a second.
What you need to tell, what?
I think we want to make sure nobody runs off until we get signatures if this is,
Right, so you need,
I need people to stick around for signatures.
how many people you need for that?
I need.
You should make names.
That's right, just the clerk and the president and
Not
the
the clerk, was the secretary, right?
secretary, that's
That's
right,
me.
you, Dennis, and then there is a resolution that Sharon needs.
You need me for anything?
You'll be signing something.
I'll be signing something.
Get to
Okay.
go home.
You can just.
Approval of the district's affordable student housing grant application. Do we have any discussion?
I think.
Well, you need to, Don's gonna,
We do have, as you called the last meeting, I kind of gave you a quick preview of what we've been up to the last 2 months, putting this
What have you been up to
application
do the last few months?
together. This is a copy of the application. It's pretty complicated. It doesn't print out well. It's really small print. But we have members of our team that worked on it. I really want to recognize them. Stacy from Lassar, they're our grant writing team lead that we contracted with. We've got a couple of persons from HPI, that's the architect that we've engaged through Servitas. And my eyes almost fail me here. We've got Tom Gutierrez, he's from Servitas. And I think what we'd like to do, I showed you a few shots last meeting, and we could get Tom to kind of go through, he's got a little PowerPoint. To kind of show you what our concept is and what's inside this, a little of what's inside this comprehensive application packet that's due tonight. So as Michelle said, we want to get president's signatures so we can email it into the chancellor's office before the strike of midnight. To meet the deadline. The deadline is today.
so maybe we could explain a little bit why it's just a last minute thing. And
We did that at the board meeting, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I touched on it a little bit. The second round of grants for this state program is had been turned over to the chancellor's office in the second round. We received basically the application packet around the end of November, 1st of December, with a deadline date of January 25th. So we've really been putting in a lot of work. These guys and gals here have been putting in a lot of work putting this application together. There's a lot of pretty intense estimating that has to be done.
It is.
A total cost of ownership calculation that had to be done. And then working on our narratives with some of our statistics. So, Tom, if you want to go ahead and fire up your slides here, we'll go through a few of them.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Like John had said, it is I'm Tom with Servitas. Happy to be here tonight talking with y'all. Let me get this keyed up and presenting. Can everybody hear me well?
Yes.
Yes,
Turn
thank
it
you.
up a bit.
And you can, excuse me, let me turn this off. So happy to present tonight, like I said. So this is the housing grant update for today. Last time we talked was in December. So moving forward here. So just wanted to talk real quickly about what we have completed so far. And these are basic due diligence items for every development for the survey and geotechnical and et cetera here. Specifically for the grant application, we also needed to get the CEQA process engaged to get that going. So that has happened as well. And we have HPI has put together the concept program and moving all the way into schematic design, and we'll get into some of those plans here at the end of the presentation, but that's where we needed it for the grant application. It's rather complicated on square footages and things, but I think that we've done a pretty good job here. And now that we have completed the application, and we'll present it here and get your approval so that we can move forward here. Just to remind everybody, the strategy here for our grant, obviously pretty simple here to maximize our score on the grant rubric. But more importantly here, the big focus was we were planning a standalone facility, and that involved creating an apartment type unit for the students of Victor Valley College. And that is in order to both minimize the impact of the cost for the housing to the college, or for ancillary facilities like additional dining facility hours and et cetera for weekends. But we think that it creates a much better live-learn facility rather than the typical dorm scenario. We still have the live-learn facilities here, but it's not in a typical dormitory that you would see across most campuses. So other than that, we're focused on being efficient with design and costs, because that is always important for affordable products. Just a quick look here on the scoring rubric. Total here of 100 points. One of these, the 10 points for partnership with a post-secondary institution here is not applicable to our project, so that's not something that we could have earned. But this is where we focused our efforts on getting as many points as we can in order to be competitive with the rest of the colleges seeking funding from the same program. So moving forward here, a lot of words on the screen, but this is all of the various items that went into the grant applications that are printed there for you, and we can get into the details of what is in each of these if you would like to as we move forward. But I won't go into those here at this moment. So just to confirm here with everybody, we have settled on a 190 bed facility for affordable beds, and those would be restricted for the life of the facility. The total project beds is 239. So that's an extra 49 beds that are going to be at market rate. And 2 of the beds allocated for the market rate is going to be for a resident director apartment, and that is a professional staff member that helps manage the facility as well as the resident's life of the project. So the proposed monthly rents that we have in here is a 10% discount to the statutory max. And we can get into the details of how that's calculated if you want, but the 10% discount is there because there's an incentive in the rubric to do the 10% discount. There's no additional points for going more discounted, but we felt that they were very reasonable points to get here for that particular deal. And our total development budget has grown with inflation, and how the grant application requires some estimating of the project based not on today's dollars, but on the future dollars at the midpoint of construction. So previous conversations that we've had about this, the project dollars were in today's dollars, and the grant needs those inflated a little bit to better predict the costs that would get funded in the future when construction begins. So here's the total request for the 43.9 million for the grant itself. This is the project program, and I have highlighted or in boldface type here are the units that are affordable versus other. There are all of the double occupancy scenario units, and that means that the residents of that unit would be sharing a bedroom with someone else, are affordable units. But we also have 64, I'm sorry, single occupancy, 4-bedroom, 2-bath apartment beds in there as well. So there is going to be a mix of single and double occupancy in the affordable category, and all of the market rate units are going to be at single occupancy type scenario. So there's some potential challenges there on marketing that, but we'll work through those as we go into marketing for the project once we get it built. Next up here, we have some nice pictures here, and I'm going to let Jeff Bicurin with HPI walk through these slides.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Good to see everybody again tonight. You looking kind of small on the screen, but I did recognize some faces back there. Just to kind of quickly walk you through the design portion of the project. What you're seeing up there labeled project site is where this project is going to be located here, just above the parking lot and northeast of the child care center there. And so this project, you'll see that we've utilized the site in the best capacity. As we go to the next slide, the way that we sort of positioned this building was there is a bit of a hill back there. And so we tried to locate the building and position the building on the flat portions of the site. So what you're seeing here on the bottom right is representing a 3-story building with a courtyard to the back, which is at the top of the page there. There's also what you're seeing, a new access drive off of Jacaranda, as well as a new parking area just off of West Campus Road there that can support essentially approximately 60 parking stalls. That's also intended to be left for future development if there's a phase 2, desired in the future there. If you go to the next slide there, Tom, I'll go ahead and kind of give you a quick update on the plans here. So what you're seeing on the screen are one in yellow, the resident director unit, and we also have another 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment, and there's only a couple of these in the project. This does not take up the majority, but there are a couple of these units in the building, one on each floor. The majority of the units, as we go to the next slide here, are comprised of these 4-bedroom, 2-bath single apartment units here. So as Tom mentioned, these are all single occupied bedrooms. Each person gets their own bedroom here. It also has a full kitchen, 2 full bathrooms, and a living room space. We also have several studio apartments for single occupied use, which also has their own private restroom and kitchen in that. The other part of this project is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath double occupied unit, which you're seeing here. It's a much smaller footprint, but it still allows for 4 students to share this one apartment style unit. There are 2 people sharing each of these bedrooms, but it still does come with 2 restrooms in this living room space, as well as a kitchen and dining area. As we go to kind of walk you through the overall layout of the plan, essentially what you're seeing is the center of the building is really where all the common spaces are located. So as you come into the building from the bottom of the page, you see sort of a pair of double doors down there. That's the main entry to the building, where you go into that lobby space. Off that lobby space, you would have some other social lounges and what have you. And then each of those wings or each of those legs of the building are going to support those other units that we just described, the 4-bedroom apartment, as well as a 2-bedroom apartment, is what you're seeing the majority of in each of those. As we move to the second floor, which is very similar to the third floor as well, it's a similar layout. These units are going to stack up all 3 floors. But again, in that center space, you're going to get things like a game room, study room, social lounges, some of those other common areas, which are really trying to encourage those students to get out of their units, come and utilize these spaces together. And again, at the third floor, very similar to the second floor, You'll have a similar layout, except the only difference is that we've allowed for a little bit of an outdoor space or an outdoor balcony off the north side of the project, facing that courtyard. If we go to the next slide there, you'll start to see a little bit of the character of the building. So we really started to model this off of your newly developed student services building. So you're going to see a lot of the same colors. This is, I mean, majority of it's going to be plaster, but you'll also see some of that panel that you're on there. So the intent is really to tie it into the campus and some of that newer construction that's going on. This is the main entry that you're looking at right here. With a large overhang on it, and that corner element is some of those common spaces that I was just describing. We set up a few other views that you'll see here. We can kind of thumb through. This is a view of the back. This is viewed from the courtyard space in the back or the north of the project here. So now we're looking back at the building. You can see on that third floor, that open balcony that I described. Otherwise, we're also thinking about outdoor spaces to be used by the students. We're looking at very so in terms of the landscaping, of course, we want to make sure that it's drought tolerant landscaping. So these are things that we're thinking about that we've also recognized that you have an effort in putting on your campus now. So we'll continue that effort. If we can keep going here, just a few more views. This is also of that courtyard space to the north of the building, but again, intended for social gatherings and student use, a little bit of a breakout space. We understand there's a lot of harsh climate here that we need to deal with. So we're all prepared to deal with those things architecturally and make sure this building's functioning the way it needs to. Couple more views. This is also that northern courtyard space. So we just provided a few different looks at that. And there's even opportunities for branding of the college on the building. Quick overall aerial view, so you can see the parking in relation to the new building, the new parking space on the upper left of the page, and you can also see that new drive aisle that's going down towards the towards Jacaranda. We would also need to consider an accessible route, so you're kind of seeing off that new drive aisle to the right of the page there, a little bit of a switchback. So that's intended to be developed as a accessible route back down to the campus and the main parts that these students will be using frequently. There's just another sort of aerial view of the back. So you can start to see how it sits on that side. Again, this site, as you guys all know, this sort of slopes down into a bowl. So we're really trying to make the most of the flat area of the site and utilize some of that for some outdoor space for the students.
Okay, any questions, or do you want us to expand on anything that we've heard about today?
Okay, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Can you go back to the slide that shows the double occupancy? That one. Is there any way at all to change the design to have the bathroom in between the two bedroom areas? Because
Yes.
it's kind of embarrassing to be the one that's closest to the bathroom, right?
Yes. Nothing is set final in stone, and we do have some opportunities as we move forward to adjust these.
Now, I think you guys are doing a great job, and I'm not trying to be critical at all, but just, you know, a woman's point of view, the bathroom in the middle is way better than the bathroom on one side where somebody might be embarrassed to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
So I appreciate that comment, and that's definitely something we can explore. I do think we need to be mindful of how daylight gets that deep into the unit. So right now, that was the intention of this layout, was to provide. So basically, the windows are at the top of the page here, and so as you move that sleeping area further to the bottom of the page, they have less access to that natural light coming from the windows.
Yeah.
But it is something we can explore, and there may be some creative solutions we can take to accommodate your suggestion.
Just something to think about. I'm no architect
Definitely.
by any means, but definitely if you have to live in a shared space, that would be the preference, I would assume.
I hear where you're coming from. I appreciate the comment.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, it's a great comment. You're the architects. How many units have you designed so far? And has there been an issue in the other campuses that you've done this with, where they've come back and said, we wish you had done this for exactly what she just said?
No, actually, we've used this. This is a unit that's built at OCC campus right now and has been successful. And as far as I'm aware, we haven't heard of any complaints about the layout of the sleeping space versus the restroom, but that's not to say they can't be improved on in the future. As Tom mentioned, these are placeholders. I think the important thing is that we're getting 4 beds in this, you know, the kitchen and the 2 bathrooms, but we can definitely continue to strategize on how to best lay this unit out.
It's good use of square footage.
No, I get,
You can't squeeze any more, you can't squeeze more bodies in that square footage.
no, I agree. I just. As
Well,
somebody
this-
that uses a
you know,
restroom.
This is a competitive process. There's gonna be a lot of different colleges going after this money.
Well, and that's,
We're kind of in the minority that we're going with the apartment style. And we're hopefully that will be attractive to,
oh,
and the
You
fact
guys
that,
are doing dormant.
and the fact that we've got some skin in the game with 20% financed locally. And that way might help us also, because the state always loves local money and
Yeah.
when they're handing out their grants.
I mean, there was just an article this week, in EdSource about student housing
Yeah,
and what a
so-
need it is.
Where's our equity come?
We're gonna do a P3 partnership like we had proposed in the first go around.
Good.
In other words, we're not coming up with anything.
There won't be any coming from our coffers, but the rent will have to retire the debt and operate the facility.
Because projections they use on the back are lifetime, you
Yeah,
know, it's a lifetime gross, it's like, come on, guys.
that's the state requirement. Total
Is it
cost of
really?
ownership. Yeah, that was,
Really?
Yeah,
almost all of our projects now, if they have
Yeah.
state funding, have to go through that.
So you can
Even
really
down here.
Mickey Mouse those numbers, I mean, you can really Mickey Mouse lifetimes.
Yeah,
anything you have to do now, even sanitation now wants to know. Did you do total cost of ownership of this event center and stuff down there?
Hmm.
Lifetime.
so, yeah, it's
Wow.
the great, latest flavor and. But it's just, but I don't know, you've seen, it's pretty complicated, these forms, we've got them if you have any questions, I just wanna, recognize Stacy kind of coordinated everything for us. With LaSar, seen a lot of emails at 6 in the morning and 11:30 at night, and so we were all communicating, putting narratives together. I was chasing statistics from our research department and from Dr. Paul then, and so, I think our narrative tells the story that we were looking at 19 and 20 before they even thought about funding student housing, when we brought a project to the board, and we talk about the fact that it required a $500,000 backstop, and the board was not comfortable doing that, and so, and then all of a sudden the state comes up with a program, and now we're re-energizing, applying for their assistance.
John, a couple, why would we want to put the April $22 summary in this package? You've got the April 22, and then you turn the page and then it goes to January 23. Is there any reason?
That would, I don't know, that was. Might be a
So
type.
that's, sorry, I can answer that. That's an artifact of specifically
one.
how they requested those estimates to be produced. They gave us a very clear guidance that all estimates needed to be based on a
The
cost
multipliers.
index based on April 2022 as our base level, and then those estimates got inflated, like I said earlier, into future dollars. To
So,
try and
okay,
keep
so
everything
if
in the same line.
so when I look at April 22, then the next page you have January of 23.
Well, I think probably the state's motivation was that their big number that they look at is cost per bed. So now if they wanna probably compare this round of funding to the previous round, then they have to get the dollar amounts from probably that previous time period, so they can compare what the previous round looked like. And what are, that's what I'm guessing.
So
Why
Tom,
they would request us to do that on that time frame.
so Tom, under hard cost, you got GC at 22 months, that's 4.9. And then below you have contractor's fee of 6%, that's 2 million. And then on the back page, in the back, you talk about a PM charge of 5%. Yeah, you go on page at 13.1, a PM fee of 5% is typical for student housing, especially design build style. So can you explain to all of us the three tranches of money that you're getting to build this, or, and where's that funds?
Yes, under the contractor's estimate there for the contractor's fee, there's the general requirements that you're seeing for 22 months, and that's paying for the office and the personnel and et cetera for the contractor to do their job, just calculated on a monthly basis to run the project site. And then they have a calculated fee on their total contract for the general contractor. And that's that.
Which is really their profit, correct?
That's their profit center. Yes, everything else is cost associated with, you know, their subcontractors and et cetera.
Okay, but where's the 5% PM fee?
The
Where's
5%.
that?
Yes, that's the calculated fee for Servitas, for
Project
tool
management.
development and our responsibility in delivering this on time and on budget.
So you really have two contractors overseeing this. You guys, you got Servitas and the GC, right?
Yes, the different scopes. The GC is within the development scope, but we also manage the contractor and as well as bringing the financing team to get the debt. And we walk the project through the transaction documents and manage the owner and all the rest of the transaction contracts.
Where's I couldn't find the PM fee anywhere in the breakout.
The breakout, they have some very specific forms that are required in there. And it didn't, and the PM fee did not specifically fit in there. There is a construction manager fee. So we're still working on how to put those together at this point.
You mean include them?
Yes.
Are they not included in this document?
The
Estimated.
the gross number does include it. But how the fees are broken out in the JCAF forms required by the state, it is not lined out specifically as a line item. And once the grant comes through, and we will put together the full packet again for how that all is going to get funded.
So then, Tom, are you saying that the grant comes through, that number could then change based on final submittal?
Yes.
But if it changes, you're taking care of that, not the college, right?
Yes, the Servitas PM fee always fluctuates based on total project costs. So we haven't gotten to final negotiations on that at this point.
The point I want the board to understand is if this grant goes through, the college isn't going to be out any money.
That's
Because
correct.
Servitas is taking full responsibility. Even if the construction cost goes up, all that's on Servitas, not the college.
Yes, that is the plan.
It's the one thing that I've made sure of all along.
Well, Camley and Tom, I'm talking Camley. There's a lot of GC and a lot of profit fees in here, so I would expect that burden be shifted on Servitas' side. When you're making that,
A
there's
lot of
something
those
like,
are included in the forms.
Okay.
Those are the percentage that the state wants to see.
Yeah.
So they're, you know. That's when you get into the chancellor's office forms, they tell you how much your contingency is 10%, it's not 5%. So you can't,
You have standards.
they tell, yeah, they have.
the unions have negotiated this at a state basis, right, John?
Probably.
Huh?
I wouldn't be, yeah,
That's how it,
Probably.
but yeah, it's a prevailing wage.
that's permission.
Yeah, that's part of the grant requirements. Anyway, I think, you know, these guys have done a great job. I think we have a good chance of being funded. We've got a really potentially very nice project.
Tom, do you really think we can make an opening in June of 2026? Is that realistic?
It's aggressive, but yes, I think so at this moment.
I mean, the architecture, you guys obviously know well, so you know it works. So you're tweaking a site plan. So what else could delay this?
I think the riskiest delay at this point is a delay in the grant approval. just given
And the
the
state
history
architects.
that's somewhat likely. DSA can be
Very
burdensome from a time perspective, but HPI and Servitas have previously done incremental submittals in order to take a parallel path for getting into the site work earlier, to break ground and truncate that design and truncate the permit process and total development time.
Good idea.
Well, I don't know if the left hand's talking to the right hand. But if the state is giving out these billions of dollars for housing. And they're on a push it, get it done now. Like wanting us to break ground by December or as soon thereafter as possible. If they'd be putting pressure on DSA to get this stuff approved. I mean, maybe that's such a, you know, how government works, it can be so disconnected. The DSA said, we don't care about that, we can do our own thing.
What I call my second father was the head of the Office of Public School Construction. There's only so much capacity at DSA, and that's what the problem is.
Well, they contract a lot of that.
Yeah, so there's just so much capacity, and he oversaw a $10 billion budget, and he swung a stick. He said it didn't matter how much he had, because DSA just moves. when
At
he
its
has
own
a
pace.
swing, yeah.
Just like every government. Any
Is
other-
that right, Tom?
Yes, it is. There
I think
are,
you're smart by cutting by doing your submittals and running in parallel at the beginning. I mean, you know, that's kind of how you eat an elephant, you know. A little bit of
yes. Particularly for Victor Valley, because we started early and we have the design ready to go where we're at, we can immediately begin production of drawings that can get us into DSA much quicker than a project that just has just a concept put together based on a feasibility grant dollars. So we are trying to get going.
If you're given the go ahead tonight, how soon did you have plans ready for DSA on this project?
So what we've talked about previously is then we're going to wait to move forward on the design until we have the grant approval.
No, but let's say you had it tonight. How quick could you be ready?
Larry, do you want to
No,
help
if
out
you
here?
got the grant approval tonight, how soon could you be in?
Yeah, he's asking Larry for his.
Yeah. Larry,
So Tom, I don't have the schedule sitting in front of me, but clearly within 6 months, we could be into DSA at this point.
So, so we wouldn't hit that schedule. If the grant comes out,
Well, that's why
you wouldn't be breaking ground, they're showing.
well, we would do it incrementally. We would do the site work. We'd start from break ground and then they would submit working drawings as they got them
Yeah.
completed
All right.
for the
Yeah.
actual structure.
Under an incremental submittal, we could either submit both increments at one time and expect the first one out of DSA early, which would be the grading, underground utilities, those kinds of pieces, which would allow an early start of construction. Or there have been times when we have actually segregated those submittals to DSA and gotten incremental approval in sequence. So as we get closer to moving this forward, we will have conversations with DSA about their timing. We have a lot of experience working with DSA. We will work collaboratively with them to set that process, working together with the college and move that through as expeditiously as possible. As everybody said, DSA is a little bit of it can be unpredictable. We have experience doing housing with them, which is a relatively new product type for DSA. So I'm comfortable with the schedule that's been laid out.
We ready to vote, guys? Guys and gals? I am.
All right. there any more
Yeah,
input?
the
they
motion
wanna
is
share? Yeah.
Yeah, we have a motion in a second. You could just all verbally do your.
Aye.
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 Dennis? Aye, yeah.
There she is. High five yourself, John. High five yourself.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Stacy will get that document over to you pretty quick.
That had to be said though.
Yeah, we said that.
Okay.
We got this.
Adjournment.
This is not our first
Let's go
rodeo.
for it.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
No, wait, I second. No, I want to say something. I want to say it.
All in favor?
Can we disconnect these?
Yeah.
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Where's the close out? I don't know. Oh, there it is.
And